I don't have the privilege. So. Can you make me the co-host so that I can share the screen? Yeah. So I hope the slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So thank you, and very good morning to all of you. So really we are happy to be part of this particular conference on international on innovative applications of emerging technologies and management. And I've attended the inaugural session, and the way you have coordinated all these things, it's really fabulous, and definitely like I congratulate all those who are working behind this. Right? So before I begin with the talk, I'll just say a few things about the place where I belong. I'm from Robotics Kottayam. It's an institution of national importance, which was formed in the year 2015. And it basically offers undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs. And just to show you a glimpse of like where I belong, right? This is the campus, and this is some of the snaps from the campus. And we have a very active data science research group at Robotics Kottayam, which comprises of 8 to 10 faculty. And moving on to what I'm told for, like I'll be talking about the different technology trends that has arisen in the recent times, and that is going to stay for the next decade. So I'll be giving a kind of more an aerial view about different kinds of trends, and also how the pandemic has changed all these scenarios, right? So we all know that maybe the past 1 year has really been a bumpy ride for all of us, and the pandemic had impacted our lives, the way which we live, and also the way which we work, and it has changed almost everything, right? So it has affected human lives, it has affected supply chain, it has affected workforce, and also all the organization had the unpredictability of operations and how to move forward, right? So of course we certain countermeasures were taken as well, where it was a kind of a new normal, where there was a lot of relevance for or shift to as a service model. Like most of the things now you can get it as a service, right? And definitely it has also helped in cutting the cost, especially by repurposing the assets and also eliminating the middleman in any kind of technology, whether it is related to computer science or whether it is related to manufacturing and all these things, right? So, but I also need to say that, well, some of the industries were kind of devastated by the events of 2020, but there are a bunch of others which have really thrived, especially the platform where right now we are interacting. We have never heard of this platform maybe 2 years back, or not many people would have heard of this, but this has kind of democratized these technologies to a whole different new level, right? So, and this is particularly true in many areas across the landscape of robotics, automation, AI, healthcare innovation, and different things, right? So I'll be talking a few things about what are the trends to watch for like in the next 10 years, and how that is going to catapult the whole industry assets. So as I said, disruption is the hallmark of 2020. So definitely COVID-19 has impacted the world in ways no one could have predicted. Right? So in turn, organizations have had to pivot and re-strategize, and also adapt and change to new ways, as I mentioned. Right? So as organizations continue to respond to this particular situation, there are also new set of opportunities which are coming up, right? So there are new ways to operate, and there are new ways to drive the growth. And also, as you go through the Gartner top strategic trends, it highlights a whole plethora of opportunities. And also, it tells about the different ways in which organizations can differentiate themselves from their competitors. So as a bottom line, organizations that were prepared to pivot and adopt or adapt will definitely withstand all types of this kind of disruptions. So as always, these strategic technology trends do not operate independently of each other, but rather they build on and reinforce each other. So together they enable an organizational kind of plasticity that will help guide organization in the next 5 to 10 years. So in this particular thing, if you talk about, especially about people centricity, despite the pandemic changing, how people interact and work with the organization, it has changed. Definitely it has changed, but still people are still at the center of all businesses, and they need digitalized processes to function in today's environment. So in this context, I'd like to talk a few things about the Internet of Behaviors. So it is also known as it is also known as something which captures the digital dust of people's lives from a variety of sources, and that particular information can be used by public or private entities to influence behavior. So, but this data can come from different range of sources, right from the commercial data, to social data, to facial recognition, or the data you generate from your mobile phones, right? So this Internet of Behavior will capture increasing amounts of information, and additionally, this technology can put together all the data and draw insight, and this insights is become increasingly sophisticated. So. And also, it has changed the total experience, like where it can be like multiple disciplines like multi-experience or customer experience or employee experience, or in other words, user experience. Like, so not only this has streamlined the experience for everyone, because organizations are optimizing it across all the experiences, right? So, and another aspect is with respect to location independence. So COVID-19 has shifted where employees, customers, suppliers, organizations physically exist, and and it has proved that you don't need to come together for doing something, or to be physically present together, right? So especially things like distributed cloud, definitely it has escalated a lot in the last 1 year, because earlier people were had a gut feeling that if I move to cloud, I may have some issues, but now since there are no other way, it has definitely revolutionized that change, and it has done it in a much faster way, even quicker than we predicted, right? So there are some of the key trends to watch for, where as you can see here, especially with respect to the with respect to the delivery, right? Or whether a pandemic or a recession or any sort of this thing, volatility exists in the world, right? So companies which are prepared for this volatility, definitely they'll be able to survive this pandemic, right? And some of the key trends to watch for in the next 10 years. So this pandemic had definitely hit the automotive and electronics industry a lot, which are the two largest industries that rely a lot on robotics and automation. So heading to this year, that is 2021, it is expected that the factory robotics market will strongly accelerate in the year 2021. In fact, the demand has kind of bottomed out in China, and it has stabilized both in US and Europe. But by the end of 2021, it is expected that the installed base of factory robots, it will exceed around 3.2 million units. So which is double the level which was predicted in the year 2015. So this is a tiny thing when compared to the human workforce of 360 million in manufacturing. So as this recovery continues, it is expected to see significant double-digit growth over the next 5 to 10 years, driven by these technological advances. So, and also the pandemic has kind of revolutionized the global supply chain as well. So it has definitely changed the expectations and demands of buyers of especially the logistics services. So in 2021 and beyond, companies are going to require their providers to offer much more greater agility, financial stability, and more importantly, speed. Right? So many companies are seriously considering insourcing at least a portion of their logistic operations. So this kind of disruption of consumer supply chain is also a driving change. We expect to see a new surge, especially in the field of warehousing. So, say for example, if you're looking for temperature controlled warehouse spaces where consumer where you store consumer food, right? So you need to have certain conditions so that the food won't get spoiled. Right? So we expect to see a new surge in this warehousing, and maybe in the pre-pandemic or in like lean inventory strategies like just-in-time or quick response, they were not relevant in the pre-pandemic time. So in the post-pandemic, consumer goods suppliers are looking to bump up the safety stock inventory by an estimated at least 5 to 10%. And this 5 to 10% means that you require around 750 million square feet of additional industrial space to store these things. So assuming that the warehouse construction pipeline remains full and warehouse availability remains tight, it can also spur a lot of innovations in robotics, because basically these changes will definitely require a lot of automated inventory management systems. So, and we have also seen in recent years, we have seen a very good penetration of drones even in markets which we haven't thought about, right? So it can vary from the inspection of a variety of outdoor structures, or it can even go for like inspecting a wind turbine or inspecting high voltage electric power lines. And the possibilities are kind of infinite, right? So in 2021 or in the last years that we have seen, drones are kind of coming to indoors. Small autonomous drone systems are now being adopted by manufacturers as well as warehouses to autonomously scan their inventory management. Right. So COVID-19 era is definitely a driving massive transition where the boundaries between home and office are kind of blurred. Right. So in the coming months, it is predicted that 84% of the enterprises, they're planning to expand work from home policies. And definitely this will create a lot of opportunities, especially with respect to the network security companies. So there will definitely at least a 30% increase in the job market of this network security companies. Right? And as we all know, definitely all the research, whatever we do, it has taken a completely different perspective because of this pandemic, especially if you think about the healthcare and technology. We thought that when AI first penetrated onto our market, we thought that everything is going to be automated very soon. But still, we are nowhere in that. So of course, some progress has been made, but when it comes to a kind of replacing a human being, still it's not possible. You have a lot of ambiguity in these things, right? So I'll just list down certain things which already came in the Gartner technology hype cycle. So from that, I'm not talking about all the things, but 4 of the trends which are going to kind of dominate the next 10 years, irrespective of pandemic or irrespective of the post-pandemic era. So the first thing is robotic process automation, is where you have a lot of classical inside-out approach to improve the information systems. So unlike the traditional workflow technology and information systems remain unchanged. So here, Gartner defines this robotic process automation as a kind of it is capable of these tools, that is robotic process automation tools, are capable of performing if then else statements on a structured data, and it typically use a combination of user interface interactions or by connecting with APIs to drive these client servers or mainframes or even HTML codes. Right? So, but within digital transformation, which is continuously progressing, definitely robotic process automation is drawing much corporate attention. While RPA is a very popular topic in the corporate world, the academic research lacks a theoretical and synoptic analysis of RPA. So maybe you can think of RPA of something in this way. Maybe you wish to conduct a literature review and you want to write a paper. This RPA can even replace that. So literature review, tool analysis. So it can completely restructure and create a holistic way where which is capable of doing these things, right? So and also we have seen many places where things are kind of autofilled using this NLP and RPA, right? So the next technology which I want to talk on is basically conversational AI. So this has almost become a part of our daily lives, maybe in the past 3 to 4 years, especially most of the mobile phones, they'll have a voice assistant. So that is a basic minimal level of conversational AI, which we have seen or which we are seeing, right? So despite the decades of research on this, still we are able to, right now we have achieved only minimal things or some specific things related to conversational AI, right? So basically, if you think about robust NLP systems, we are still lacking behind, especially with respect to detecting sarcasm or when it comes to detecting local languages. Still, there are a lot of relevance in this conversational AI. So for example, deep learning based neural approaches to conversational AI, which become increasingly important as a research area, that has been not widely used for building commercial task bot because the reason is they are not robust enough, right? So, but we have definitely seen a paradigm shift in this since 2019, where there is something called, there is a great progress on this large-scale pre-trained language models, such as generative pre-training models or GPT models, right? So that has definitely played a role in this, and definitely this is going to stay for the next 10 years. And another crucial thing is with respect to ethical AI. So always we are being bombarded with these fancy words, whether it is computer vision or deep learning or machine learning or reinforcement learning. So when it comes to like what actually happens inside these algorithms, there's a lot of concern about biases, algorithmic biases, right? So companies that are leveraging data and making use of AI to create scalable solutions, but they're also scaling their kind of regulatory and legal risk, right? So, for instance, there was a case in Los Angeles where they have sued IBM for allegedly misappropriating data collected from a weather app, right? Or another recent thing is a company called Optum. They created an algorithm that recommended, so Optum is basically something related to medical data. So this company, Optum, created an algorithm that allegedly recommended doctors and nurses to pay more attention to white patients than to sicker black patients. So these kind of biases, it would have come from their creators, knowingly or unknowingly, right? So, and also like Goldman Sachs, which is a very good premium company, and there is a case going on against them for using an AI algorithm that discriminated against women by granting larger credit limits to men than women on their Apple cards, right? And we also we have seen about Facebook and the infamous Cambridge Analytica, where a political firm was given access to personal data of more than 50 million users, right? So we have a whole different set of examples in front of us where most of the time we don't know what is happening inside this algorithm, right? So definitely ethical AI or explainable AI or interpretability in AI, that is going to stay here for the next the next 10 years. So AI ethics is definitely a global topic of discussion in academia and in policy circles. But when it comes to the Indian scenario, not much has been done, or people are not well aware of this particular issue. Uh, and also, India is one of the country where you easily get data. So most of the companies think India as a gold mine, because the data restrictions over here are kind of minimal or almost nil. Right? So let's hope that changes in the coming years, right? So and to the last thing, which is quantum AI, and we know that quantum computing and AI both are kind of transformational technologies, because both are progressing almost at the same rate. And although AI produces functional applications using classical computers, it is limited by the computational capability of classical computers. So definitely this quantum computer combined with artificial intelligence, that can take a lot, or that can help you in taking forward this particular technology to a whole different level. And it can increase the developments in general intelligence, right? So we have recently seen about Google announcing about TensorFlow Quantum, or TFQ, which is an open source library for quantum machine learning. And the aim of this TFQ is to provide the necessary tools to control and model natural and artificial quantum systems. So this is a great thing to learn if you wish to start working with this quantum AI. So ultimately, when we make use of this quantum AI, we're sure to get less error prone and more powerful quantum computing systems. And also this compelling AI applications for which we are sure that quantum computing will outperform this classical computing. Of course, that's going to take a little bit time, but still, this is definitely going to be a disruptive technology, which is going to stay here for the next 10 years, right? So, so basically what I've talked for the last 15 to 20 minutes is basically I've talked about the major trends which are going to stay here for the next 10 years. Of course, there are a lot more coming because of the time constraint. I've just focused on the 4 important ones only, right? So if you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.